Though I have spoken to atheists who basically ask questions like, well, is it possible for there to be nothing?
Well,
I mean, is it not a contradiction to say there is nothing? If nothing is nothing, you can't say there is nothing. And so it's impossible to have nothing. And if it's impossible to have nothing, then there must be something. This is basically a way, I think, of putting forward what I think is the atheist's best bet in answering this question, in hypothesizing that essentially the universe is necessary. You know, when you speak to a theist and they say, well, things exist because God brought them into existence, and then you naively ask, well, then what brought God into existence? They say, well, God doesn't get brought into existence. God is the special kind of like first cause, which by virtue of being the first cause, the foundational cause, is itself not cause. That's fine. That's not an illegal chess move. You know, you can do that. But I think a lot of atheists turn around and say, well, like, maybe the Big Bang, maybe the beginning of the universe is super special, which does seem a little bit like, yeah, okay, that's easy enough to say. But if you think about the fact that at the Big Bang, for example, the laws of physics just like break down. They just sort of stop working, right? And it does seem like a very special kind of event in that way, which makes it sort of not seem impossible to me that there's some kind of weird way in which that can be like separated from things that happen within the universe that finally arises, such that like, yeah, maybe the universe sort of necessarily came into existence. Maybe it necessarily exists. I don't believe that that's true, but I think that that's basically the best option available for the atheist on this question.
I sort of think that raises a really interesting point about this idea of like necessity, right? You know, there's an, you know, I don't want to, you know, there are theological reasons why one might argue that God is necessary. And I think there are decent philosophical reasons to argue why something might be necessary rather than nothing.